basically what I need to do is I need to try and figure out the best way to teach them this on what I've discovered. Basically, I need to try and make it as simple as I can, so it's easy for you to understand what it is that I'm doing. So basically, right, I have color coded blue physical and red for, maybe bad spirits, for the spirit world, basically, just to color code it, just so we don't get confused with the symbolism. And Daniel 2 and 7 pay attention more to physical kingdoms on earth, and then God's supernatural kingdom comes to the earth to destroy all other kingdoms and his kingdom ruling the world. That's what will happen in the future at some point. Timeline events, right? So if we want to know accurately who this Antichrist is, all we have to do is find out that when the third temple gets rebuilt and the daily sacrifice eventually gets taken away and a man is showing himself as God, then we'll definitely know that this is definitely the Antichrist, okay? When he starts showing himself as God, okay, we can trace back to which country he comes from, so we'll know which kingdom he came from, okay? It's the only way you're going to know. You're not going to know for a fact where he's coming from. So, anyway, so the temple has not been rebuilt, so the Antichrist can't be around yet. And Daniel 2 is about 4 kingdoms and God destroying them all, okay? Now, you can look at the experts. There's a link. You can look at Daniel 2 and Daniel 7 to understand what these 4 kingdoms are. These 4 kingdoms, the Babylon is head of gold, so it's Babylon. Persia is the silver chest, or Medo-Persia. Greece is the brass, and iron is said by the experts to be Rome. In Daniel 2, right, now this is the tricky part, right? It says the kingdom, this is the 4th kingdom, is not said to be divided into 10 parts, remember. It just says divided, okay? This happened, as we know, the Roman Empire was divided into a Western and Eastern Empire with 2 separate emperors, okay? That's our fact. That's why we have partly broken, partly strong. That's our connections there when we read in Daniel about this 4th kingdom, okay? And then when we get to Daniel 7, and the 10 horns, okay, this is the 4th kingdom. The other 3 kingdoms is Babylon, Persia, Medo-Persia, or and then of course Greece, and then the 4th kingdom, which is where the 10 horns come from, okay? And it says here, and the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings. Now, right? And another shall arise after them, which is the little horn, the Antichrist, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings, okay? Now, when you read kingdom here, okay, you need to think beast, because it says horns are coming out of this kingdom, okay? It does not say 10 kings will come from this kingdom. Now, we know that the horns is talking about kings, okay? This is a tricky part. But when we read kingdom, we need to read beast, okay? Because because we know that horns, don't grow out of kingdoms. They don't, they don't grow out of. They're not growing out of Rome, if you know what I mean. You're not going to go to Rome and see huge horns growing out of it. So it's still talking in symbolic language, okay? In that area, that's how I would read that. Right? It's very tricky. But it says here, it does not say that 10 kings will come from this kingdom. It just says 10 kings will arise. Now, if it said that 10 kings will arise from this kingdom, then that's something completely different. You would almost start interpreting, well, man, how's that possible? That means that Rome must be integrating in other parts of the world somehow, But no, that's not what's going on. It's 10 kingdoms, that are arising, okay? Somewhere on earth, but not from the Roman Empire, not from Rome. So Rome has already got a king there, you see. You can't have 10 kings ruling the same country, So anyway, It does not tell us where they will arise from. So the little horn is not said to come from a location either, but will arise after the 10 kings. So 10 kings rise, then later an 11th king will rise from another region somewhere, right? But it doesn't say where, right? So so when you read Daniel, when it's talking about, I know that a lot of people go 10 toes, but it doesn't say that the toes are divided into 10 separate regional kingdoms. It doesn't talk about the Roman Empire dividing into 10 regions. There's nothing like that. It just says divided. So you can't parallel Daniel 7 with Daniel 2 when it comes to 10 toes and 10 kings. It's not the same. You can't allow yourself to confuse the two. You just need to let the text. One of the things I learned from Michael Heiser is let the text do the talking. Don't try and add things to it. Okay? Don't try and interpret it. It's done the interpretations for you. Let the text do the talking. In Daniel 7, when the beast is destroyed and burning flame, this means all the horns, including the little horn, attached to him, symbolically, will be put in the burning flame also, while the other beasts' lives, which is Greece, Persia, Babylon, are prolonged with no dominion because God has taken their dominion away from them, hasn't he? Right? Now also when we read Daniel 7, when we look at the four winds, okay, if you look at the idea of four winds, it's not a geographic location. It's basically, when it says four winds, it's basically somewhere on earth, basically. If you think of it like that, a bit like the four directional cardinal points, somewhere out there on the earth, right, is basically talking about. It's not talking about locations. So geographic, but really is about any place in the four directions of the earth, basically. That's basically what. So even the ends of the earth, even, okay, when you look at the symbolic nature of that. It's just for Daniel 7, when you're talking about the four beasts coming up from different locations of the world, Four kingdoms are mentioned again, which will have, of course, the four kings over them. Line is Babylon, so this is to do with the Revelations, I think this is. No, it's not. Still in Daniel 7. Now when we go to Revelations 12, right, so there's going to be obviously a king over Rome. It could be one of the Vatican kings. Could be one of them. It says Revelations 12 shows us the fourth kingdom is certainly Rome, because it says that the dragon connected to Rome persecutes the remnant of the woman's seed, which carry the testament of Jesus Christ. And of course we know that the Romans that had persecuted the Christians who carry the testament of Jesus Christ. So we know for a fact the fourth kingdom definitely has to be Rome. In case people are wondering, is that really talking about Rome? So yes, it is. It definitely is. Revelation 17. 10 horns, and the seventh king is the little horn of Daniel 7, right? This is what I believe, anyway. Not to do with belief, of course. It's got to do with the evidence to support that belief, right? So when we get to Revelation 17, the 6 other kings, right, they're not in the future. They're dead and gone. Because it says one is and the other is not yet to come. And 5 of the kings have fallen. Okay, so they're dead and gone, those kings are. Then we have the beast, who is the 8th king, connected to the 7 kings. And then when we look at that short space, that the 7th king is around for a short space, okay? When he cometh, he must continue a short space. So, and this is to do with the 3.5 years, okay? It's only the Antichrist is going to be around for 3.5 years, because when we get to Daniel 12, of when the daily sacrifice is taken away and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, it will be a short time of 3.5 years. The little horn does this, which is a short time. The little horn is a seventh king that is around for a short space in the future at some point with these 10 other kings. And then, of course, we've got the fourth king, which is the Rome. And then we've got another 3 kings, which would be Babylon, Greece, and Medo-Persia. Now, of course, the beast, where does he come from? He's the 8th king. He comes from the bottomless pit. So the beast, some people think it's the Antichrist, but it's not the Antichrist, okay? He's a spirit that's like Satan, connected to this 4th kingdom on earth. So you got Satan and this beast connected to the 4th kingdom. The beast comes from the bottomless pit. And because Satan gets put in the bottomless pit, we know that the bottomless pit is a spiritual dimension and not a physical one. The beast has to be a spirit who is sent from it. You can't have a physical man coming from a spiritual dimension of the bottomless pit. But anyway, that's all I have time for just now, and bye for now.